Under the bright lights of Barclays Center, the Indiana Fever walked onto the court. Without their star, Caitlin Clark. What followed was nothing short of brutal. The New York Liberty dismantled the Fever 98-77, exposing every weakness the team carried. Without its engine, Clark, sidelined with groin injury, could only watch on the bench as her teammates struggled to keep pace. For fans, it wasn't just a defeat, it was a wake-up call. Without Clark, the Fever looked powerless, and the rest of the league knew it. But what happened after the game turned the loss into something bigger. When the final buzzer sounded, attention didn't stay on the scoreboard. Instead, it shifted to Caitlin Clark, the player who hadn't even touched the court. In the post-game press conference, Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu didn't focus on their own dominant performances. No, they couldn't stop talking about Clark. Stewart spoke of her respect for the rookie. Ionescu praised her resilience. It wasn't casual commentary, it was fixation. Why would two Liberty stars devote so much energy to complimenting an opponent they just humiliated? That's where the drama truly begins. Breanna Stewart, who led the Liberty with 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, had every reason to highlight her team's greatness. Yet, she redirected the spotlight. Her words dripped with admiration for Clark, framing her as more than just a competitor. It was a subtle yet powerful gesture, one that sent fans spiraling into speculation. Was Stewart planting seeds? Was this genuine respect, or something far more calculated? When champions shift the narrative away from victory and onto a rival rookie, it suggests motives that extend well beyond sportsmanship. Then came Sabrina Ionescu. With 15 points and 9 assists, she could have taken pride in her leadership and playmaking. But instead, she mirrored Stewart, steering the conversation straight back to Clark. She spoke as though Clark were family, not a rival. The tone wasn't just complimentary, it was personal. She wasn't describing an enemy, she was describing a teammate. For anyone listening closely, it didn't feel like an accident. It felt like a recruitment pitch. A carefully constructed moment where the Liberty's leaders showed Clark exactly how much they valued her presence, even when she wasn't playing. As if the praise wasn't enough to stir speculation, a photo surfaced, one that sent WNBA Twitter into overdrive. Caitlin Clark, standing in the bowels of the Barclays Center, smiling as she chatted with Liberty coach Sandy Brondello, Breanna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu. Her agent, Erin Kane, wasn't far behind. To the casual eye, it looked innocent, just post-game pleasantries. But to seasoned fans, it looked like the beginning of something bigger. Smiles, laughter, camaraderie. It wasn't the image of rivals. It was the image of recruitment, plain and simple, and the internet exploded. That viral image became the match that lit the fire. Fans dissected every detail. The angle of Clark's smile, the body language of Stewart and Ionescu, the presence of her agent lingering nearby. This wasn't just about friendship, it was about positioning. Clark, visibly happy and relaxed, looked more comfortable with the Liberty than she often did with her own Fever squad. And the timing couldn't have been worse for Indiana. Their star player, already carrying the team on her back, now looked as though she was being courted by one of the league's superpowers right under their noses. Agents don't show up for casual conversations. They show up for business. That's what made this meeting so intriguing. Erin Kane's presence turned what could have been brushed off as playful banter into something far more deliberate. In sports, this is how it begins. The whispers, the casual encounters, the subtle public praise. One day it's a photo, the next it's a rumor, and before long, it's a blockbuster move. Fans of the WNBA know this story because they've seen it before in the NBA and NFL. Recruitment rarely starts with contracts. It starts with moments like this. The suspicious timing only added fuel to the fire. Clark wasn't just out for rest. She was injured, visibly distraught and sidelined, vulnerable. That's when Stewart and Ionescu struck with public affection, showering her with words that went far beyond routine compliments. Fans noticed, and they didn't hold back. One even said, "This is more love than Stephanie White has ever given Caitlin." That single line echoed across social media. Was it true? Had Clark been denied the validation she deserved from her own coach, only to receive it from the very team that just crushed her squad? Stephanie White, the Fever's coach, has a history of holding back when it comes to Clark. Her comments, often careful, sometimes cold, rarely offer the full support fans expect. She's acknowledged the physicality Clark endures, but stops short of open admiration. Compare that to the Liberty stars, who can't stop praising Clark whenever microphones are placed in front of them. To many fans, the contrast is glaring. Indiana feels indifferent, maybe even hostile. Meanwhile, New York feels warm, supportive, and appreciative. And in the high-stakes world of professional sports, perception matters as much as reality. The fans fed the firestorm. Social media lit up with speculation that Clark might be happier around Liberty players than her own teammates. Tweets poured in, suggesting this wasn't mere coincidence. It was calculated. Some even claimed the Liberty were playing chess, while Indiana was still figuring out checkers. The idea that Clark, the most valuable rookie in decades, might be lured into a culture where she was celebrated, not sidelined, was intoxicating. For Fever fans, it was terrifying. For Liberty fans, it was thrilling. And for the contrast couldn't have been sharper. The Liberty had just dominated Indiana by 21 points, and yet they spent their press conference acting like the most important storyline was Clark's health and future. To some, it looked like respect. To others, it looked like psychological warfare. Was it really good sportsmanship to praise a player you just humiliated? Or was it a calculated move to destabilize her confidence in Indiana? The duality of the gesture created the perfect storm. Adoration wrapped in strategy, kindness masking manipulation. Fans couldn't stop debating the true motive behind every word. Adding fuel to the narrative was Clark's growing list of accolades. Fresh off her ESPY recognition as the Breakthrough Player of the Year, Clark's name carried weight far beyond her rookie season. Her accomplishments placed her in conversations with legends like Stewart, Aya Wilson, and Sue Bird. That status made her both a target and a treasure. To the Liberty, she wasn't just another opponent. She was the face of the league's future. And their relentless public praise only reinforced the idea that Clark wasn't just respected. She was wanted desperately by the league's elite. The Liberty's culture became part of the conversation. Their unity, their leadership under Sandy Brondello, their relentless energy on the court, all stood in stark contrast to Indiana's dysfunction. Stewart and Ionescu weren't just praising Clark. They were showing her what life could be like with them. The Liberty had chemistry, support, and fan energy that Indiana couldn't match. And Clark, sitting on the bench, had a front row seat to what championship basketball looks like. For a competitor as ambitious as her, the temptation to imagine herself in teal and black must have been impossible to ignore. The photo of Clark laughing with Brondello and the Liberty stars went beyond optics. It was symbolic. It represented a future where Clark wasn't fighting uphill battles alone. It represented a future where she was celebrated, not questioned. Fans saw it instantly. The comments reflected it. She looks happier there than she does in Indiana. That one observation cut deep, not just for Fever supporters, but for the organization itself. If your franchise cornerstone looks more comfortable with rivals than with her own team, that's not just concerning. It's catastrophic for the future of your franchise. Speculation reached a fever pitch when all-star storylines emerged. Sandy Brondello, who happens to coach the Liberty, was announced as Clark's coach for the All-Star game. Add in Ionescu, who would also be on Clark's side, and suddenly the optics became overwhelming. But what truly raised eyebrows was the involvement of Clark's agent in those post-game conversations. Agents don't deal with all-star logistics. They handle contracts, endorsements, and futures. Every fan who saw Kane in that photo knew exactly what it meant. This wasn't casual networking. This was business, and big business at that. The Fever organization couldn't have looked weaker. Their star player was physically battered, emotionally stretched, and now visibly courted by rivals. Meanwhile, Liberty players showered her with validation at every opportunity. Even when Clark had outshined them in prior matchups, they spoke glowingly of her. This wasn't normal post-game banner. It was a construction of a narrative that said, we value you more than your own team does. In a league where player empowerment is only growing, that type of narrative can't be underestimated. It can reshape entire franchises overnight. And then came the fans' verdict. WNBA Twitter erupted with theories that the Liberty were staging a long-term recruitment strategy. One viral comment read, "Told you she's eyeing the Liberty after that photo." The sentiment spread like wildfire. Suddenly, it wasn't just speculation among analysts. It was a belief shared by the masses. When your best player's loyalty is openly questioned by your own supporters, the damage is irreparable. It no longer matters whether the rumors are true. What matters is that fans believe them. And in professional sports, perception is everything. But beneath the smiles and compliments lurked something more sinister: psychological warfare. To beat a team by 21 points, then pivot the narrative to their injured star, isn't pure kindness. It's strategy. It destabilizes the opponent while planting seeds of doubt. For Clark, the message was clear: we appreciate you more than they do. For the Fever, the warning was undeniable: lose your grip on her now, and you may never get it back. The Liberty weren't just playing basketball, they were playing chess, and every move was designed to win the long game. Caitlin Clark's night at Barclays wasn't just about an injury or a lopsided loss. It became a story about loyalty, validation, and the future of the WNBA. The Liberty made their intentions clear without ever speaking them outright. Through praise, body language, and one viral photo, they showed Clark what life would be like in New York. Meanwhile, Indiana stumbled into chaos, unable to shield their franchise star from the optics of betrayal. The stage is set for a showdown that extends far beyond the court, and if the Fever don't act soon, they could lose everything. The silence from Indiana's leadership has become deafening. Fans expected their front office or coach to step up with reassurance after Clark's viral photos with Liberty stars ignited speculation. Instead, they got nothing. And that nothing spoke volumes. Every day Indiana stays quiet, the Liberty grow louder. Public silence in professional sports is rarely neutral. It's interpreted as weakness. While New York stars shower Clark with admiration, Indiana leaves her stranded in uncertainty. For a player of Clark's magnitude, that silence doesn't just sting, it raises questions about whether the Fever truly value their generational talent. Clark's injury made matters worse. Watching from the sidelines of the groin strain, she was more vulnerable than ever, and that vulnerability became an opening. Stewart and Ionescu capitalized, praising Clark with words that sounded less like competitor respect and more like recruitment pitches. Fans picked up on it instantly. Comparisons to LeBron James leaving Cleveland or Kevin Durant abandoning Oklahoma City flooded social media. Could Clark become the WNBA's first version of that superstar exodus? The parallels were chilling, and for Indiana, terrifying. They can't afford to lose her, but the whisper suggests they already might. What makes this so explosive is Clark's brand power. She isn't just a basketball player. She's a cultural phenomenon, with endorsement deals, record TV ratings, and millions of fans. For her, success isn't only measured in wins, it's measured in marketability and opportunity. And that's where New York holds all the cards. The Liberty offer the country's largest market, a championship-ready roster, and a fan base that already adores her. Indiana, by contrast, offers little more than bruises and silence. For Clark and her agent, the difference between these futures couldn't be more glaring. Social media has only amplified the divide. Every viral photo of Clark smiling with Liberty players adds fuel to the speculation. Every clip of Stewart or Ionescu praising her gets dissected like evidence in a trial. Even Fever fans are starting to wonder aloud whether Clark is happier with her rivals than with her own team. That's not just bad optics, it's catastrophic. When your own supporters doubt your ability to keep the star you built around, you've already lost a public battle. Indiana isn't just playing catch-up on the court. They're losing perception war too. And Clark herself? She hasn't shut it down. No firm declaration of loyalty. No dismissals of the rumors. Just smiles, laughter, and silence. That silence is powerful. It keeps the speculation alive. It keeps the leverage in her hands. Indiana is running out of time to prove they deserve her loyalty. Meanwhile, New York continues to dangle the dream of support, success, and stardom. The clock is ticking, and if Indiana doesn't act soon, Caitlin Clark's future may already belong to the Liberty.